Shiftable podcast, where each episode you begin to shift your state into your true essence. Every week, Reiki, sound, and meditation masters Lindy and Mars will help you make small shifts through meditation, sound healing, Reiki, Yoga Nidra, and other mindful modalities, so that you can start, continue, or expand your meditative practice and ultimately transform your healing journey. Experience divine bliss and be able to affirm again and again, I am shiftable.
Hello, shifters. Welcome back to episode number 7, where today we continue to talk about the season, the things that you're feeling, the emotions you're experiencing during the holidays. Today, we're going to talk all about giving. I'm your host, Mars.
I'm Lindy.
We have been talking a lot lately about how people give, how they're experiencing giving this time of year. And it reminded me of Brene Brown, who is a shame and vulnerability researcher. And she wrote the book Daring Greatly. If you haven't read that one, I definitely recommend it. But I heard her, I think it was during an interview, and she talked about how we think about giving of ourselves. And most people think about it as like a pepperoni pizza, and there's only so much. Here's a slice for you. Here's a slice for you. And I've only got a couple slices left. I'm going to keep these for myself. And so that's really coming at it from a feeling of lack. And this time of year, you might be feeling the pinch. You might be feeling like, I only have so much energy to give. I only have so much in my budget to give. And so we wanted to dive first at the surface level, and then we're going to get a little deeper into what giving actually is and how you can become a more mindful and more gracious giver. And we're really excited to dig into this topic today. So, Lindy, why don't you kick us off? And what are your thoughts on this time of year and the way people are feeling about their giving?
Since we're in the holiday season of December of 2018, I think the season kind of lends itself to the hustle and bustle of trying to find the perfect gift, who will like what, and maybe having to purchase gifts for people that you weren't quite prepared for. So last minute stresses kind of lends itself to this chaos during the season. And the good news is that the universe has a spiritual law of giving and receiving that's a lot less strenuous on our nervous system. Specifically, we're talking about giving in this episode. The intention behind giving is always to create happiness for the giver and receiver, because happiness is life-supporting and life-sustaining.
Yes.
So it's being in the flow of that energy instead of the hustle and bustle of the season. What I like to do is when I hear someone throughout the year say something like, oh, I love it when I receive something like this, I'll make a little note for that person. But just along the way, just start being mindful of what you're hearing your friends, your family, your loved ones say, of what they like, what they enjoy. Not just your last minute gift giving. Now you're in the frenzy of trying to find out what you're going to give to everyone. And you really have this sense of depletion, like Mars was just saying. I think it's really super important that we first give to ourselves before we give to somebody else. Because I understand this energy of we can't give that which we do not have, right? So give to ourselves. I find myself, if I'm looking for a gift for someone, I'll be in the store. What would they enjoy? What would they like? I'll be going through that in my mind. If I like something that I've seen for them, part of me wants to say, oh, I like that too. If I want, I can still nourish myself with that gift as well. Maybe not the same thing. And it might be something that most people could interpret as being selfish. I don't do this often, but try not to deny yourself when you feel this kind of resonance of wanting something for yourself, because that's part of the act of giving to yourself first and then to others.
Yeah, we get into that feeling of lack. So that's that thought of lack. Well, I'm going to buy this for a friend, but I don't really have enough for myself. And going back to those affirmations, if that's what you're telling yourself, that is what you will always experience. So if you do allow yourself to lean in a bit, and if you do feel that desire for something, like Lindy said, give it to yourself. Why not? Why not give yourself a little something too? Because if you come at it from the mindset of, yes, I do have enough for myself as well, and yes, I'm getting this and that, then you will always come at it from a space of you are taken care of. Always. It's that simple.
Right. Provided for.
I think that's my tagline. It's that simple. Maybe we should have called the podcast that. It's that simple.
Exactly. Let's do it. It's that simple.
Yes. So, Linda, you recently received a gift, and we're talking about mindful giving at this part of the podcast right now. I'd love for you to share with our listeners what your experience was and why it was so much more special when there was some intention behind it.
Yes. Thank you. Yes, actually, one of my students in one of my yoga classes, they gave me a little gift in an envelope. I opened it, and I love prayer beads. Of course, that's how my journey began. So this student took the time to go out and find these prayer beads for me. And when I opened it later, I was really like taken back. You feel such love when someone knows you enough. It was so beautiful to open that up later and like, oh my gosh, it's so special. Very, very sweet.
Yes, when there's that intention behind it, even if you feel like I don't have that much money, I can only spend $20 on the friend this year. When you package it along with, I see you, I recognize that you love these prayer beads, and I recognize that this is special to you, and you acknowledge that about someone, really, at the end of the day, we all just want to be seen. So if you can give the gift to someone that you see them, that you do know them, that you realize that this will really strike a chord deep within their soul, that can make your $5, $10, $15, $20 go so much further exponentially because of the feeling that accompanies that tangible gift that you've given them.
You're so right, Mars. I mean, you can't replace someone that takes the time for you, gives the attention, shows you some affection, shares love. And really, one thing that we can share with somebody, and it doesn't cost anything, and that is our time. And that is precious because time is so short.
And so what are your thoughts on that? How can people give their time? What are we thinking? Are we thinking like an hour of our time, a day of our time?
Yeah, you can, if you're thinking about somebody, you can send them a message and say, hey, how about grabbing some coffee today? Or if you don't live in the area, then hey, how about let's have a video chat later? Just something that you can I'm thinking about you. Mm-hmm. And I see that you're there and I recognize you. I have a best friend. We've been best friends for 30 years now. Her name is Adriana. We met shortly after I returned back from London. I moved back to the Orlando area, and she happened to have had to move to the Orlando area as well because her father had cancer. So we met during this time where we were both experiencing these very personal and traumatic time with a parent. My mom passes away a few years later, and in that instant, I inherited this beautiful, loving, kind Italian family along with Adriana in this friendship. And during this loss, it was interesting to feel. You feel lost because all of the changes, and I haven't gone really deeply into the story of my mother that was a guru beyond gurus. So, and I will eventually as we move along the story, but when you lose someone so impacting in your life, to find yourself really not knowing what to do, it was so wonderful to have a family there that was just loving. They just cradled me in all the love, the food, the holidays. It was so nourishing and nurturing. And to this day, I can go to any one of her siblings' house and roll up and say, hey, what's for dinner? And they're opening the door and welcoming and loving, and we have a great time. To this day, this has been almost 30 years now. The point of that is every chance that I get, I tell her, thank you so much for her friendship. Thank you for sharing her family with me openly. You can't really replace stuff like that. It's really just heartwarming. And that is what we're talking about, opening the heart and connecting with one another.
And that in itself is a gift, acknowledging how much you appreciate them. It's like it's the ping pong of gift giving. You're reflecting it right back to them when you share how grateful you are for that experience, for that time, for that meal. That in itself is such a beautiful gift, isn't it?
It really is.
Thank you for sharing that story.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
So we talk about giving some time and what else? We're so closed off as human beings, aren't we, Lindy? Like we're so afraid that if we give eye contact or if we give a smile that somebody's going to ask us for something. Don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Many of us walk around like that. Like you're going to look at your phone, keep your head down, keep shuffling along because God forbid you make eye contact and a smile and somebody suddenly wants to come over and talk to you and take up your time.
Right. Why are we denying that though? If you look at it, I mean, I live in St. Petersburg, Florida, and certain streets, there's some homeless people that are there with their sign. There could be veterans, they could be whatever their situation is. I've come to the realization that if I have some money to give, then I give it. If I don't, then I give a prayer, as long as I'm giving something. Otherwise, I'm removing myself from being open to the exchange that has presented itself. I am at that intersection at this specific time, and this human being is standing there or sitting there in need. Who am I to deny that? So if I don't give, and we probably have all done this before because we have some sort of judgment in our heads and in our minds, right? Judgment about what their situation is. If I don't give, I feel really bad. It's clear to me. I just feel horrible. So what I've decided to do is, even if it's $1, I roll down my window and I say, God bless you. And I give them whatever I have to give. Right? So one of the spiritual laws is giving and receiving. If we're stopping the flow of this law, then we are harming both ourselves and other people. So maybe just becoming aware of there's an energy exchange with everyone all the time. We're energy. There's energy everywhere. We're energetic. Being open to receive this is crucial. To be able to receive and to give is part of our existence, really. We're a part of each other. We're a part of this whole. We're not separate.
Yeah.
And by not receiving, we are denying the whole flow of the energy.
Exactly. So giving and receiving that flow. And if you're sitting there and you're thinking, well, I live in New York City and there's 10 homeless people every 5 steps that I walk. If I gave $1 to everyone I saw or even a quarter, I wouldn't have my rent money at the end of the month. That's okay. It doesn't have to be money that you're giving them. Let me tell you about homeless people. I give hugs and smiles and even kisses on their third eye. And my husband giggles at me every time because he's like, oh Lord, here comes a homeless person. And guess what? I don't get cooties. I haven't been hurt. I've had people tear up because it was probably the first hug that they've received in a really long time.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be homeless people that you're doing this with. It can be a stranger on the street. You know, living here in Guatemala, I still have some fear in the back of my mind because I've got friends and family who are saying, are you sure you're safe there? And even here in the gated communities, you've got people saying, well, you don't really want to spend too much time out there on the streets, especially after the sun sets, because it can be dangerous. And so you can have that fear in the back of your mind. The other day, there was a guy down an alley who looked pretty scary. And you know what I did? I showed him my teeth. And I don't mean showed him my teeth, but I smiled at him. And it was like the lights came on, Lindy, and he lit up and he smiled right back at me. And suddenly he didn't even look like the same man that I saw 5 minutes earlier. And it changed the entire interaction.
Oh, how sweet.
But what do some Yes, but what do some people do? Some people might meet that intimidating situation with intimidation. Like, oh, this is kind of scary. I'm going to look back and lower my brow and look like I'm a tough guy because I don't want him to mess with me. And that could turn into an even more less than desirable situation. So a smile and eye contact can change the entire energy exchange.
Right, Mars. And if you don't live in fear and you live more in love, then love comes. Just being open to making a conscious decision every day to give of yourself It doesn't necessarily have to be anything to anyone monetarily. Eye contact, a smile, send them a prayer. Do you remember when we were in India and we would pass the rishis on the side of the road? If you didn't have anything to give, same scenario, you can't give. By the time you get to the end of the street, you'd be broke, right? So, but what we would say Hari Om. And it's a prayer that you're sending. And once you did that, you're releasing and you're becoming part of that energy of giving and receiving. It's so beautiful. So maybe just beginning to open up ourselves instead of living in a fear-based mode, living in a love-based mode of giving and receiving, allowing for this energy to continually go in and out. If you feel something kind of blocked up inside, ask yourself how you can release it. Send them a prayer, send them love and light. Do something like that.
My limited mindset back then when they were saying Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om, Lindy, I would feel just this wave of fear walking down that bridge because you've got these men, these sages who are worshipped in these communities, who people travel thousands of miles around the world to visit. And they're sitting there calling you a god as you walk by. That's what I thought maybe they were asking for money or asking for something. And I immediately closed myself off. What do these men want from me? This is terrifying. And then when you shared with me what Hari Om actually means, wow, did it change everything? And it would bring tears to my eyes walking down that bridge because who am I for them to be calling me a god? And how special in this moment that they have nothing to give but this gift of calling me a god walking by. Wow.
Right. They give you that gift of calling you a god. You give that gift back to them, calling them a god. And you walk by and you feel like the energy exchange was just that instant. It happened right then. It's so powerful. So maybe again, becoming more aware of how we're feeling, how things are making us feel, and being more giving throughout the year, not just because it's the holidays, but take this out through the rest of your life. Once you start doing that and allow the energy to flow, things will start to change. Things will start coming to you, appearing to you. Mars and I are going to continue to dive deeper and deeper. The universe yields to you when you allow, when you're in a state of allowance and forgiveness and openness.
It always does. And just try it a little bit. Another thing that I love about living here is that it doesn't matter if somebody knows you, if it's the first time they've seen you or the 50th time they've seen you. Every morning it's buenos dias, big bright smiles, bright eyes. It's almost like they're searching, who else can I say buenos dias to? And it's so
sweet,
different and beautiful. And people are just alive. You walk around on the streets back in the States and again, people heads down. They don't want to say hello. They're afraid that you're going to be asking them for something. And it just shifts the entire mood when you say hello, when you say good morning, when you acknowledge that you actually see someone.
It's interesting that you say that, Mars, because I like to think of it like, when you walk around, your heart is wide open, your shoulders are back and down, your head is up, and you say, buenos dias, or hello, and you're acknowledging someone, right? For those that live in fear or feeling this fear and lack or all these energies that kind of close off, you'll see their shoulders round off, their chest kind of goes in, their heart is no longer out, their body kind of tilts forward, and they're in this slight forward motion that if physically we stay in there longer periods of time, breeds depression. Isn't that amazing? So the physiology of your body, once it's kind of closed and your heart is closed off, you are like a wilted flower. You're not getting any sunshine in your life. You're not giving sunshine out. But if you bring your shoulders back and down, your heart raised up, your chin up, you cannot be in a state of depression or lack. It's just a physiology of how we are designed that allows us to be just who we were meant to be. Open, honest, happy, considerate, compassionate, all of that.
Yes, and you can hack into that. So that's one of the things that I taught in my workshops that I actually learned from Tony Robbins is hacking into this body energy that we have. So if you're sitting here thinking, well, yeah, I'm slumped over and I don't feel open to the world and I'm afraid to say hello, start with hacking into that physical energy first. So just like Lindsay said, put your shoulders back, stick your chest out, keep your chin up, start smiling. These things will start hacking into what you're feeling emotionally. You can't deny it. shoulders back, chest out, chin up, smiling, straight posture, you'll start feeling suddenly, okay, I am more open. I am ready to say hello. Buenos dias. How are you? I love you.
Exactly. Howdy om.
Howdy om. You are God. Yes, I can't wait to start hearing from our listeners after this episode of what a difference it makes for you.
Mm-hmm.
We want to hear from you. I am shiftable@gmail.com. Let us know. How's it going? How are you feeling?
Don't be shy.
Don't be
We're
shy.
here for you.
Lindy, what else about the laws of giving, this giving and receiving, what else can we share to help our listeners take this giving a little bit deeper?
Okay, I once climbed a corporate ladder, and one of our courses that we had to take as manager was this course is by Stephen Covey. And in one of them, we talked about imagining ourselves at our own funeral. So if you were at your own funeral and say you're in spirit form and you're just walking around the room and all of your friends and family are there and they're speaking about you, what would you want them to say about you? And it really makes you think of this. For one, life is really short. And number two, it's not what we give materially that makes people respect you. It's what you give as far as your time and your consideration with other people that means the most. And imagine yourself, if you go through each one of your friends and family, what would they say about you? What do you think they would say about you? So maybe just kind of going through in your mind and kind of thinking about what is it that I can start shifting a little bit that will make people know that I'm making a difference in the world. Not just in my life, but I'm sharing that with the world.
Yes, and whether you know it or not, you are making a difference every single day, if it's a positive or a negative exchange. And actually, in today's meditation, we guide you into realizing the difference that you are making in everyone's life that you come in contact with. So get ready for this one. Bring the box of tissues. I have done this in a workshop and had the entire room crying. So maybe be in a space where you can allow some of that to come forward. And don't hold it back. Allow it to come. Rise and fall as it needs to.
Open your heart. Let your heart sing. And just allow yourself to feel whatever it is that you feel. Because your heart is your guidance center. And if that is open, you will live vibrantly.
Yes.
Happy and joyful.
Yes.
Thank you, Mars, for sharing that beautiful meditation with us.
My pleasure. And before we hop over to that, if you are on iTunes and you're enjoying this podcast, please be sure to subscribe. You can also leave us a rating and a review if you feel compelled to. We'd love to know what it is you're thinking. If you want more of what you're receiving, if there's something different that you're looking for that we can shift and provide for you, please let us know. We would love that. We're also on Podomatic.com. That's where we're publishing. So if that's where you're listening and you want to continue, you can also subscribe there. So we bring these meditations to you on a weekly basis every Sunday, and they will pop magically into your iTunes playlist if you're subscribed. Isn't that so cool?
That is so much fun.
I love this modern technology when it works for us.
I know. It's wonderful. It's like a little gift that you're receiving in your inbox. Thank you.
It is. Oh, and what a perfect transition. Speaking of receiving, so we always want to provide this continuation of how we're shifting together. So this week we've talked a bit about giving and how to be a better giver and give deeper. Next week in episode 8, we'll be talking about how to receive. And many of us may believe we know how to receive, but we may be blocking it in whatever reason, in whatever way. So hang tight, stay tuned for next week as well. And we hope you enjoyed today's meditation. Thanks for joining us. As always, keep shifting.
Thank you for joining us. Howdy om.
Howdy om. It's a wrap. To begin, Allow yourself to rest in a comfortable position. You can be seated or lying down, just somewhere where you will be uninterrupted. As you settle in, closing down your eyes, begin to take a few deep breaths to ground into the space right here, right now. And as you start to feel yourself sinking into this relaxation, notice the darkness of this space behind your eyelids, the infinite vastness and safe, familiar sensation. We're going to begin to fill this endless space now with the images and faces of your nearest and dearest people in your life. These might be family members or your oldest friends. Just start to see the image and faces of these people. And now beside them, begin to picture any of your other friends from your entire lifetime, all the way back to childhood, as early as you can remember. It doesn't matter what they may look like today. Just allow your imagination to bring their likeness into this space. And now openly and very carefully adding into this picture that you were creating any past lovers, partners, regardless of how pleasant or painful, long or short these relationships have been. Bringing these people into this space. And now we're going to invite into this group any teachers, coaches, or mentors that you've had throughout your lifetime whose wisdom or lessons have helped shape who you are. Remember, there's plenty of room here. Just keep adding all of these faces and images into this space. There's plenty of room, infinite amounts of room, next to all of these beings that are here now. Picture some past coworkers, bosses, or maybe even clients who you shared a working space with. Again, letting go of any attachment or judgment to the relationships with these different people. Just inviting them into this space. And now think about the countless strangers you have passed on the street, in the grocery store, or other public spaces with whom you've exchanged eye contact, a smile, or even a hello. Someone who you have let get in front of you as you were driving down the road. Someone who you let cross the street. Someone you held the door for. While their faces may be fuzzy, let's invite them here. Invite them here now. And finally, let's cast our net around the world for anyone else who is not already with us now. inviting them into your vast creation to join us. You may not know their name, but if you've ever had any kind of energetic exchange, welcome them. Now, keeping your eyes closed and feeling the great presence of all of these souls that you have welcomed here. In your mind's eye, we're going to slowly turn up the lights here. Slowly, you begin to look around, and you may be a bit overwhelmed by all of the faces that are here. And as you begin to focus in, you realize they are all smiling at you, nodding their heads with an eagerness because they all have a message for you. And now you begin to lean in because you feel it may have great importance. For these are all the souls you have ever met in this lifetime. You have never listened with as much intent as you are listening in this moment. And they begin to tell you, we are proud of you. You are so worthy. You have made such a difference in our lives. Because of you, I felt like someone saw me, like someone loved me, like someone cared. Because of you, I grew into who I am today. Because of you, I can love deeper and give more. Because of the gifts you gave me. When you looked me in the eyes, I felt connection. When you gave me your smile, I was filled with warmth in my heart. When you said hello, I woke up from my walking slumber. When you helped me laugh, I knew joy in that moment. When you flirted with me, I felt desired. When you listened to me, I no longer felt alone. When you were vulnerable in front of me, we became one. When you said I love you, I experienced God. When we had a less than desirable experience, you gave me the ability to forgive. When you came to me for guidance, you gave me the chance to share. We want you to know we see you. You mean so much to us. We are grateful for your selflessness. In each moment we shared, if only for a brief time, we urge you to keep giving like you have. For we will all continue to reflect back your kindness in this beautiful world you are creating. Carry this message in your heart, because whether we recognize it or acknowledge it, you are always with us. Because of you, we are stronger. Because of you, we wanted to give these same gifts to others. And remember, these are the most rare and priceless gifts in the universe. You didn't lose when you gave them. You didn't have less. And at times, you did not even realize the positive difference you were making in our lives. You are nothing short of amazing. And without any single condition, we love you. Take a moment to sit with this message that you have just received. Your heart is wide open in this moment. Allow all of this love to pour into you. Thank you for all of your beautiful gifts.
We are grateful you chose to exchange your energy during our time together today. If you would like to take your practice deeper with guidance on things like unifying your breath, mastering meditative postures, and a variety of meditations, you can become a Patreon member by signing up at patreon.com/I am Shiftable. That's patreon.com/I am Shiftable. Until next week, enjoy every shift, my love.